John. Today we'll learn about Avere and Essere verbs. Beginners often find their use difficult and confusing. Hope not anymore. Let's start. Comunichiamo in Italiano, lezioni 3. Okay, Avere and Essere verbs. Let's understand the basic meaning of Avere. Avere means to have, which of course mentions the feeling or it specifies the possession. Let's see the conjugation of Avere verb with the subject. Io ho, tu hai, lui le ha, noi abbiamo, voi avete, loro hanno. Now, as I said, like these verbs are also used to express the feeling. Suppose if I want to say, are you feeling cold? So we're gonna say I freddo or I caldo, like if you're feeling hot. And with participio passato, we also use avere, or in fact with participio passato with some we use essere also, but we'll talk about later. Let's take an example with avere verbs, like I ate my food, so ho mangiato. And with avere there is no difference, like with genders it does not change, or with singular or plural it does not change. For example, if we have to say we ate our food, so we're gonna say abbiamo mangiato. We will not change the suffix, like we will not say since it is plural, so we won't say o mangiati. So likewise for other conjugation, we'll talk about it little later, but let's have a basic understanding of essere first, or the conjugation of essere verbs with subject. So io sono, tu sei, lui le è, noi siamo, voi siete, loro sono. Now in this case, with essere verbs, the gender changes, and the singular and plural. If it is plural, then of course the last letter, the suffix also changes, and we will again discuss about that with more examples little later. So this tense means, in this video we'll talk about participio passato. So participio passato explains the action that happened in the past. So the basic rule is subject plus auxiliary verbs. Auxiliary verb means it can take essere or avere depending upon the sentence, or depending upon what do we have to say, and plus participio passato, which in English of course it means the past participle. So as we know, majority of verbs take avere, so it's not difficult to recognize which one of them will take avere, but of course it's difficult for some to differentiate if the verb is going to take avere or essere, but essere is very important. So we will basically in this video focus on the if not rules, then the tips, like where do we need to use essere verbs. So let's see some of the example. Crescere, to grow. Here we are talking about the example of all the groups, like ere, are and ire group. Arrivare, to arrive. Uscire, to go out or exit. Entrare, to enter. Andare, to go. Partire, to leave. Scendere, to descend, to go down. Restare, to remain in the position. So in all these verbs we will use essere. We will use the conjugation that we just saw with essere verbs. We will see many more examples and the rules, like why will we use essere verb with all these are, ere or ire verbs little later. So okay, but as I said, like avere verb is very easy to use, and we will study some and we will see the example, and its usage is also easy because as I mentioned before, like in this it doesn't matter whether we're talking about the singular or the plural. The verb part, like the gordato, it will not change. It will remain the same for all, and likewise for gender it also doesn't matter, it will not change. So let's see some of the examples which take avere verbs. Mangiare, to eat, and of course in participio passato we say mangiato, ate. Credere, to believe, and in the past tense creduto, believed. Parlare, to speak, past tense parlato. Sentire, to hear. Sentito, I heard. Dormire, to sleep. Dormito, slept. And there are many verbs which take avere. So problem is not with the avere verbs, because it's very easy to understand which one is gonna be used with avere verbs, like which express the feeling or which express your possession or your action. The most of the action takes avere verbs. Let's have a example. Let's have a look at the example. I watched soccer match till late last night. Ho guardato la partita di calcio fino a tardi ieri sera. Fino a tardi, until late ieri sera, last night. So if we see, like whether we're talking about the male or female, the guardato will remain guardato. We will not change O with A. We will not say guardata. Or even if we say like we watched, so we will still say abbiamo guardato. We will not change this A with I. Like we do not have to make it plural. He always believed in my skills. Ha sempre creduto nelle mie capacità. Now here if you see, this is capacità. Like we need to stress this because this is the accent. You might have seen this on many of the words. Maybe I'll make a special video on that. So it's capacità. You need to, wherever you see this, you have to raise your pitch. Okay, so I hope this is clear with avere. Like, okay, let's have a look at the example once again. I watched soccer match till late last night. Ho guardato la partita di calcio fino a tardi ieri sera. He always believed in my skills. Ha sempre creduto nella mia capacità. Okay, where do we use essere verbs? Which generally beginners find difficult to understand. They often get confused, like where to use essere and avere, and mostly that's where we do mistake. Like mostly we use avere verb for all the action, but here are a few exceptions where we can only use essere verbs. First tip is where verbs which suggest motion or movement. For example, andare, which means I went. Sono andato, I went. Andare means to go, which suggests the movement, your motion. Partire, I leave. Partire means to leave. Or if I want to say I left, I'm going to say sono partito, which is of course participio passato. And we have already discussed with the are, the ending, the are changes to ato in past tense, and ire, ito, and mostly ere verbs, and the ending changes to uto. So partire means to leave. So if I want to say I left, we're going to use it with essere verbs because it suggests movement, or it suggests motion. Sono partito. Venire, which means of course to come. So if I want to say I came, sono venuto. Cadere, to fall. Of course, again it mentions the movement, or it mentions the motion. Sono caduto. Tornare, return, to return. And if I want to say I returned, then sono tornato. So all these verbs, they suggest motion or movement. So we're gonna so essere verbs are used. And as I mentioned before, like aro for participio passato, the are verbs changes to ato, ere uto, ire ito. Of course, there can be few exceptions, but majority of them the changes like that. So okay, let's take a few esempio. Frase di esempio. Paul came back home at 3 a.m. Paul è tornato a casa alle 3 del mattino. So as you can see, again the accent, as he mentioned before. Like wherever you see, you need to say, you need to raise your pitch a little bit just to differentiate. Paul è tornato a casa alle 3 del mattino. So here the AM, since it is AM, so we are mentioning the time, morning. Mattino means morning, and 3 means of course 3. Today I reached office late. Oggi sono arrivato in ufficio tardi. Oggi sono arrivato in ufficio tardi. So arrivato is again, since it's are verb, so it changes to ato, and it takes essere because it suggests movement, and tardi means late. Okay, and another tip, essere verbs are used when action suggests state or fixed position, like to be, where you are. I mean, whether you're moving or not, but it mentions your state. Stare, like if I want to say I was, so sono stato. Now again, in this case, like if it is, as I said, with essere, the gender also changes. So sono stato, this is for male. If for female, it's going to be sono stata. And and with plural also, this I mean, if there are more than two people or more than one people, if it is a plural, then also it changes. Like we were, so it's going to be abbiamo stati. Rimanere, I stayed. Rimanere means to stay. So if I want to say I stayed, sono rimasto. Again, it's an are verb, but as I said, there are a few exceptions. So it's not ato, it's asto. I mean, sto. It changes because there is always a few exceptions with other verbs also. Restare. This is also to we can use it for to stay, and then sono restate. Now let's take few examples. I stayed in office late because I had lot of work. Sono rimasto, like I was where I was in the office. So again, here also it will take essere. Sono rimasto in ufficio fino a tardi perché, because avevo molto lavoro. Again, you can see the accent. So sono rimasto in ufficio fino a tardi, until late. Fino a tardi means until late. Perché? Because avevo molto lavoro. I had lot of work. Here, of course, it's available, but we are focusing on the action. Have you been to Italy? Sei stato in Italia? Sei stato. Stato again. It mentions the state, like where you were or where you are. So sei stato in Italia. So that's the second tip, like where we use essere verbs. First is the motion or the movement, and second where the sentence suggests your fixed position or it suggests your state, your presence. Now that's the third tip. Essere verbs are also used when there is change of state. Suppose you're growing up or you're falling from the hill. So there also we use essere, not avere. So whatever signifies the movement, the essere verb will be used. Crescere. Crescere means to grow. So if I want to say I grew, then sono cresciuto. Diventare, to become. Like what do you want to become? Like if I want to say I became a lawyer. Sono diventato avvocato. Avvocato is of course lawyer. Sono diventato avvocato. Nascere. Nascere means your birth, born. If I want to say I was born, sono nato. Nascere, and in participio passato, we're going to phrase the sentence like this: sono nato. Now let's see another example. I was born and raised or brought up in Italy. Sono nato, cresciuto in Italia. So here there are two action verbs. Like I grew up, I was born, and I grew up in Italy. So sono nato, cresciuto in Italia, and both will take essere because it suggests a change of state. Okay, and another passato prossimo of essere and stare is stato. So basically, passato prossimo of essere and stare verb is same, which is stato, which of course mention your state and for example your position, like where you were or where you were. Like for example, let's take a few example with subject as I was, I have been, I stay. In all these cases, whether it's I was or I stayed, we will say sono stato. The stato will be used, and with that it will take essere. So let's take few examples with this. I have been to England. Sono stato in Inghilterra. Inghilterra is of course means England, and stato means where I have been. I have been to England. So sono stato. I was in Milan last week to attend the meeting. Sono stato a Milano la settimana scorsa per partecipare all'incontro. Sono stato a Milano la settimana scorsa. Settimana means week and scorsa means before. So since I was in Milan last week, so sono stato a Milano la settimana scorsa. For what? To attend the meeting. Per partecipare all'incontro. So simple. See, Italian, it looks a little difficult in the beginning, but once you start catching up and once you start understanding each word of it, or the purpose of why are you making a sentence like this, then it no longer becomes difficult. For example, let's repeat the sentence once again. Because see, I was in Milan. Let's translate I was in Milan first. Sono stato a Milano. When was I in Milan? Last week. Sono stato a Milano la settimana scorsa. For what? To attend the meeting. Per partecipare all'incontro. Incontro means meeting, and per partecipare, to attend the meeting or to participate in the meeting. Okay, so I hope you understood the difference between the Avere and Essere verbs. In all my videos, I focus on the problem that I faced when I learned Italian. So do like the video if you find it beneficial, and do subscribe if you can. And for any other problem or whatever you want to discuss or ask, you can always write to me on my email ID or post comment. So ciao, a presto.